Thanks for listening to this podcast. On this episode, we discuss round one of the NRL, Cameron Smith's retirement, Cooper Cronk's debacle, and also the test series between England and India, and much more banter between the boys. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and please enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to the Day Sports Podcast, and we're back on Zoom. Before we get started, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and our Instagram and TikTok. They're doing all right so far, so get around that. And we're joined by Ben and Charlie. How are you boys?
Yeah, good.
Good to chat some, keen to chat some rugby league and sport.
Yeah, bit of news come out recently, but we'll get to that later. We'll start with the fan favorite, Give Me a Dose. I'm going to go give me a dose on Cooper Cronk's situation. Is he allowed to do it or no?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fine. The club knew about it. Like he said in NRL 360, he's had 2 face-to-face meetings in the last 2 years because that's how long this situation's been going on, and 10 Zoom meetings with Storm players, mainly being Jerome Hughes and Hammy Munster. So look, if the clubs are fine with it, then why is everyone having they're getting a bit hot and bothered under the collar about it? It's a bit weird.
Yeah. I think he's a bit of a club slut doing that, but what they say, if it makes money, it makes sense. So good on him.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, as long as he's been transparent with all the coaches, which he has, he stated that Robbo and Bellamy knew that he's doing this. I think he's completely fine, and I don't think Cooper Cronk's the type of bloke to give information to other teams. So,
if I was a Chookies fan, I'd be pretty fucking angry. I reckon.
Yeah, but
I'd be happy.
He's not on as a coaching role. It's like an ambassadorial role. Like
he just does. He does half, like based at Melbourne.
At Melbourne.
No, at Melbourne he does halves coaching.
No, he does. At Melbourne, he's an ambassadorial coach, but there's been instances where he's just like dropped in and said g'day, like to do mentoring.
Yeah.
But like you can even see the differences at the Storm stuff. He's not in Storm kit because he's not a coach. At the Chooks, like he's in on gameplay. He's in all the Chooks kit. Like he's a coach. He's there on game day. Like I think it was a bit misconstrued how Buzz made it out to be because like, facts of the matter, he's a coach at the Chooks and he's an ambassador for Melbourne. And it would be a bit weird if he was an ambassador for Melbourne and he played there for like 10 years and then just doesn't do anything for the team. Like he doesn't talk about gameplay and stuff. That's what he said at least. So
yeah, because I think he said on there when it comes to Roosters game plan, he has some degree of affecting the result in terms of where they take the direction of their attack. But at Melbourne, he has no control over that. He just has some face to face with the halves occasionally. And he said on the weekend he'll be a Roosters supporter because he's doing more work with them. So I think it's fine.
As a neutral, I couldn't really care. But I reckon if I was a fan of one of the two clubs, I'd be a bit annoyed.
Well, as a fan of the Melbourne Storm, I'd rather have Cooper Cronk than not to have Cooper Cronk.
Yeah, that I agree with that. Like you wouldn't say no to having.
I mean, as a Melbourne fan, you'd be pretty happy because he was always expected to stay with the Roosters after he retired.
Yeah.
Like he got on the ambassador job there and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I don't know.
All right. We'll move on to
Don't give me a dose with that.
Don't give me a dose. All right.
Don't give me a dose.
I'm on give me a dose. So Joseph Suaalii will play this year.
He will play this year because he turns 18. Should he? I think the rules are stupid. I think it's either that you gotta say no and say that when you're 17, turning 18 in that year that you can play. If you turn 18 that year, I don't think if you're 16 you should be allowed to play at all. I think that's fucking ludicrous. I think the best way to go about it is either when the year you turn 18 you can play, or you can't play until the year in the season. So if you turn 18 prior to the season, you can. But if you're turning 18 after, then no, it's just a blanket rule. And I don't think clubs should be able to submit applications to allow it. Like a rule's a rule. It's there for a reason.
I think you go.
Well, players have come out, like Jordan Rankin debuted when he was 16, and he's openly come out and said he wish he didn't.
Yeah.
And he's the youngest player to debut in like NRL history since God knows. And he openly said, like, coming out as a freak, what he was when he was 16, he said he wish he didn't. So I think there's like good guidance there. And you got to question whether someone can actually, like, he's at Kings, he's at a prestigious high school, private boys high school, where he's there to learn, like, develop personal and educational skills and play rugby, obviously. So, like, whether he can do all three things at the same time, you got to take into account.
Well, he's not going to play rugby for Kings now.
Yeah,
I
he's
think,
not the sharpest tool in the shed. I think
there shouldn't be an age restriction. Like, if you're good enough, you're good enough. And, like, especially in our era now, you're never going to see someone who's 16 or 16 turned just 17 playing NRL. Like, you won't see it. I mean, if you're good enough, you're good enough. And Swally, he's almost 18, and I don't think he will play a game while he's 17. And I think he will get lucky if there's a couple of injuries at the Chooks. He might play a game because I still think he's like behind the Billy Smith pecking order to get that centre spot. I know Billy Smith's injured at the moment.
But he did his ACL over 12 months ago, so you'd assume Billy Smith's fit.
Yeah. I sort of agree with Strong. I don't think the 18-year-old barrier is there to be there for physical, because he's clearly physically all right. He's developed properly. I think it's more mentally and how like that kind of affects you. Like going in at young age with the thousands of people who know your name already and like have expectation of you. I think when you're that young, you're a bit impressionable, and there's a lot going on. So I think he's at a good club. The Roosters know what to do. Know what to do with him. So if he's ready enough mentally, I think that's where the go is, not physically. For me.
Yeah.
I got a good give me a dose.
Yeah, go on.
Hear it. The new rules, they're good, and I like them, and they speed the game up because it was getting too stop-starty and too slow. But there needs to be some common sense applied to the six again rule.
Yeah.
And the new field goal rule. So with the six again, you should be able to have advantage because there were so many times, like you should have a one play the ball of advantage, because there were so many times teams would turn it over after the six again's been called, but before the next tackle's been made. So you have no advantage there. And most teams would choose to take a penalty and kick for touch. And there were just instances where there were positions where, like, you don't want to get six again. Like 20 metres out from your own line, you don't want six again. Like, who cares? You get to your 50, you get to halfway, then you kick. Like, you'd rather be kicking for touch, get to the 40 or 50 metre line, and then being able to get another full set of six. Like, I understand that you want the game to be quick, but in reality, it's got to benefit the team. Like, and if it's not, then what's the point of the rule? And the same with the field goal rule. I think the reason it's in there is for close games, like games that are from about golden point, or it's really tight before half time. The idea is you're 40 out, you can go back and try and slot a field goal, and it's worth 2 points. What I would rather see is that just field goals become worth 2 points, because I hate seeing golden point and close games decided where a team does slot a field goal from wherever on the field and they're 1 point up. Next team goes down and they get a penalty, and the game's decided by usually a controversial penalty where a conversion's taken, and it's 2 points. And a conversion is considerably easier to take from any position of the field than a field goal. So I just think it would make more sense if you get 2 point field goals, because then you just can't, like, not only are you eliminating the ref in some instances, because you don't want a penalty to ever decide a game, but it probably would entice teams to go for the try even more if your conversion's worth the same as a field goal. So I just think, like, the rule's good. I don't see it being used almost at all. Like, I see maybe a team, like, 39th minute, they're 40 metres out, they're going to take the piss and go for one. Like, you may as well. But I just don't think there's a lot of common sense in some of the rules. Like, they're good, but at the same time, one needs to be advantageous to the team that wins a penalty, and one, you can make the end of games and end of halves more exciting.
Yeah, I think if a field goal was worth 2 points instead of one, like a lot of teams would go for it a lot more. I'd like to see teams try and score a try from 20 out rather than take the field goal.
Yeah.
I think the new rule's good. In terms of trying to speed up the game, I think the new rules that have been put in place in 2021 have almost like tittered it, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Getting to a point where it's just the team that's the fittest is going to win. Like in 2020, you could see how much quicker the game already was compared to previous seasons with like the 6-again rule and stuff. But now when like if you kick for touch, it's a play the ball, or if there's a knock on, even I think it's a play the ball or something like that.
Yeah.
It's getting to a point where players are getting so gassed, it's the fittest team wins.
I reckon
the more skillful.
When you take away scrums as well, you eliminate a really important attacking aspect of the game.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. You're taking away an opportunity for a set play, for a team to put on a set play.
Yeah, it's way easier to score when you have the 5 people out of the scrum rather than you have the whole defensive line set. Yeah. I don't really see, I think the team should get a choice, and then that new break rule that you can only break from the scrum when the ref says so would be useful, because teams were breaking too early in the second rows and the props again forward, so then you kind of eliminate it. But with the break rule, you have a scrum now, you can actually make a set play, because there's not going to be all that inside pressure, or if there is, that person on the inside is going to be working real fucking hard to get there.
Yeah. So I also agree with Chuck with that. Peter V'landys might be going too far. There's too many. Like the game, I reckon the game speed last year was
so good.
It was perfect. It was perfect speed. And I reckon if you start adding a bit more 6-agains, you're going to sort of see like big men, they're just going to slowly disappear. You won't get the Josh Papalis with like 110 kilos. They'll all start dropping weight just to keep up with the intensity. So I reckon in a few years, if we keep these sort of rules, props will start being like low 100s, I reckon.
Yeah, and it'll just be a different type of build. And basically everyone will just become like a built inside, like a built outside back. And it's like, that's not really like what you want. Yeah.
I agree.
Don't give me a dose of the new rules.
Yeah, don't give me a dose either. I'm not a huge fan of it. We'll go for the next one. Kane Williamson has been the best batsman over the last 5 years.
Nah, don't give me a dose. 12 months, give me a dose. 5 years, don't give me a dose.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's an audacious call. Kane Williamson has performed very well in the last 12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months, but over 5 years, I think Steve Smith takes the cake pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
And I'd say Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson have probably been on par, and they've both been inconsistent in patches. Like Virat just had a terrible tour of England tour in India. He didn't play very well. So
yeah. I won't give you a dose. I was trying to work out the time period of where that'd be very 50-50. I would say maybe over the last 3 years you could make a case that Kane Williamson's probably been the best.
Yeah,
or even
probably Steve Smith's form slump between the Ashes where he was heroic, and New Zealand. Then Kane Williamson was really good. Steve Smith after that Ashes tour averaged like 34 or something really bad.
Yeah, but then in saying that, when we played New Zealand at home, Kane Williamson was worse than Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Even still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're just it's kind of hard to tell. But over 5 years, I think it's kind of hard to say that Smithy's not. He's just been so dominant, scored so many runs.
Yeah. Last one. We won't see a better player than Cam Smith in our NRL lifetime. I know already the answers for some of us. My answer is we won't. But I know you boys will disagree with me.
Yeah. Oh, no. Durability is a great aspect to the game. His durability is probably the greatest. I'd say he's probably in the strongest franchise that the NRL has ever introduced or ever had, prior to like the St. George and South Sydney era, when the competition, the ARL just started or whatever it was called back then. I wouldn't say. I think we'll definitely see players better, and I'd argue that we have seen players better.
I think in terms of the hooker position, it's sort of evolving a little bit. You're getting more of the Harry Grant, Damien Cook sort of style hookers who are becoming more dominant now, especially the game's becoming a faster pace.
Yeah.
It's sort of gone away from that off the deck good service and making heaps of tackles. It's coming into more impacted ball and hand running it more. Stuff like that.
I would argue that even last year, I would still say probably Cameron Smith was still the best hooker than Comp despite those rule changes.
No, Harry Grant. I would say Harry Grant by far was the best hooker in the game.
I think Harry Grant looked very good due to the rest of his team not looking very good, if you get what I mean.
The Tigers, I think it was we lost 8 of the last 10. So in reality, like the Tigers choked it and should have been playing finals last year. And then you put together that Harry Grant was playing so well.
Yeah.
He was so dominant. It's kind of hard to go past how dominant he was. Like he was running circles around teams. And he also picked up like the most daily M points in ages for a rookie. So like, I don't know.
I'd agree. We won't see many hookers going forward like him. And I think it'll be hard to start comparing Cameron Smith to future hookers because I reckon the game styles will change a lot going forward.
Well, in terms of stats, I don't think you can and someone who brings winning. He's clearly someone who knows how to win, and I think that quality might not be you can't see that quality or you can't measure that quality, but I think going on how many premierships, although some are stripped, and how many origins and how many grand finals he's been in, I don't think we'll see someone who's been in that many high level games in our lifetime.
I think Cooper Cronk is similar to that. He won so much, and he's in a lot of people's books isn't considered top 3 or top 4 halves of all time, and he's winning. His ability to win grand finals is just cool.
I reckon Cooper Cronk is comfortably in my top 5 players. He won 6 premierships, 2 strips. Leaves Storm, leaves Cameron Smith and Billy Slater, and goes and wins 2 at the Chooks. There's obviously an argument to say Cameron Smith's the greatest of all time, but so there is also as well so many players, and there's never going to be a definitive answer. But I think there's definitely points that show that there's other players, the caliber of players he had around him, the franchise that he was in. The Storm were never going to be a bad team, and probably never will be. Yeah. So, great player. We may never see a hooker as dominant as he was for such a long period, but we'll definitely see hookers that adapt to the game very differently and play different style. Like Chuck said.
If he's not your number one, who is your number one player that you think? Who do you think is the number one player you've seen?
Yeah, I would say Cooper Cronk, but I think raw talent and influence on the game, I still think Benji's been the most influential player in the last 15 years.
Benji, what?
He changed. No, the point.
No, don't do this. Not now. Too early. It's too early, Johnny.
Too early.
You need to acknowledge and realise that for a period of time, for about 4 to 6 years, Benji was considered the best and one of the best players in World Rugby League.
I agree. As soon as he crossed over to Union in 2010, he hasn't been that special since.
But you need to.
He hasn't been that special.
He came back and he played for New Zealand. He came back and provided.
So you're saying Benji Marshall is your number one greatest player of all time?
No.
I think you're a fucking laughing stock if you think that.
I'm saying the last 15 years, I reckon Benji's influence on how the game's played and why people play the game.
What, like how he's influenced Kalen Ponga and stuff, have good footwork? Is that? Sean Johnson.
You know,
Is that what you're trying to say?
You come out and say something stupid like Gutho's a better player than he is. Like he's like, you need to acknowledge that Benji is one of the greats of rugby league.
Yeah, he is.
I get where you're coming from.
Pre-2010 or 2014, where he fucked off.
Oh, well, who would you include in it? I would include Darren Lockyer, Cooper Cronk.
I'll go. Yeah, Darren Lockyer, Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, and Jonathan Thurston. That's my 5.
JT, yeah, how good JT is highly debatable as well. If you're going to go, he won 2 premierships, one at the Dogs and then one at North Queensland. I reckon there's every chance Benji will win a premiership this year.
Yeah, but he's not the dominant half. And I think, as we can see from the Cowboys, they literally, I think Jonathan Thurston is probably one of the biggest carries.
The year they won at the Cowboys, Michael Morgan was by a country mile. Michael Morgan was one of the best players in the comp that year.
That's when they made the grand final, got fucking clapped by Storm.
Yeah, that's 2017.
That's 2017. 2015, JT won Dally M and fucking carried the shit out of their team.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think JT, he's definitely up there, but I think Cooper Cronk as a half, he's just ability to win games, and his composure and just game sense is the reason why he's won that many premierships.
Yeah. All right.
So don't give me a dose on Cameron Smith. Will be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, do not even try and give me a dose of that.
Oh, that's a give me a dose for me, but so we'll move to more current issues. Round 1 of the NRL starts today as of recording.
Let's go.
Very excited.
We'll preview first game. I believe the first game of the season will also be the last game of the season. I reckon this is going to be the grand final. Melbourne Storm.
No.
Versus South Sydney.
That's a big call. I like that call a bit. That's a good call. I think Storm are going to struggle to adapt to life without Cameron Smith.
Yeah.
Just because of the game, like how the Storm have played for so many years. When you have a player that's going to be a lock in that team every single week, and you know it's one of the greatest to play the game. Yeah. It changes your mentality and your confidence, and you know he's an awesome game manager. So I think it'll take him a bit to adapt. But yeah, I reckon Souths are all but a lock for that grand final and probably minor premiers.
You can't say someone's a lock.
No,
for a grand final.
I can't remember a team on paper in the last 5 years that was so dominant.
2017 Melbourne
and
Storm.
especially
Easy.
Especially with the
Melbourne Storm.
2017 Melbourne Storm, that's up there.
But I think it's in the same echelon almost.
Yeah, I even as a Melbourne Storm fan, I agree. The new rule changes, I reckon Cody Walker, Damien Cook, that combination is going to be unbelievably good this season.
I'm not a Latrell Mitchell hater. I very much like Latrell playing fullback. He came into the league as a fullback. And he's one of those guys, he just has pure talent. And if he gets the work ethic right this year and he gets his work rates up and he carries the ball more and then still plays it and runs the line, I can't see them not winning the comp. They're so good on paper. Yeah. They are so good.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Looking at the teams for round 1, Remus Smith, I think, is that Remus Smith, George Jennings side. That's the main difference for Melbourne Storm, apart from the 2 injuries to Harry Grant and Dale Finucane, which we knew about.
Brenko Lee will replace Remus Smith straight away, apparently.
Oh, for this game?
No, Brenko Lee's either suspended from the grand final or injured. I can't remember.
I think Remus will go to the wing and they'll
take
George Jennings.
George Jennings.
Lee will take that centre spot. But yeah, that edge is quite vulnerable, I think, especially this weekend. This is a big step up for Remus Smith, going from a dog side that has been miserable his whole career there to a team that does not lose.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get it right.
To be fair, last year's centre wing pairing on that right side was Brenko Lee or Momorowski and Vunivalu, which I wouldn't say is too
Momo,
far in front of this centre pairing. I don't rate Vunivalu at all.
No, it was Momo was at Panthers, wasn't he?
No, he is now.
He's now. He was at Melbourne.
Oh, yeah, on the loan.
Yeah.
Drink your coffee, you fucking retard. Nah, I reckon.
Oh, he's shit. Momorowski's shit anyway. Like,
yeah.
On paper,
that's what I'm saying.
You'd tip Bunnies. They got Jacob Host in now at second row with Jairo on the bench. But I think Melbourne Storm's round one record. You can't look past it.
And haven't lost under Craig Bellamy in round one. And also Souths haven't won in Melbourne in the last 23 years or something. So
and Wayne Bennett's coaching record against Craig Bellamy is like 10 wins to 37 for Craig. So probably like 47 times. Craig's won 37 of them. But I think the Bunnies will upset. Not in a rout, but I think it'll just be a cracking game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, for a first game of the season, I don't see a better first game of the season in a while. This is top notch, I reckon. So yeah, your boys, you're tipping Souths?
Yeah, Souths confidently.
Oh, not in a close one, but I reckon.
Yeah, but I'm confident they get across the line.
I'm going to go Melbourne. Back the boys for sure. I reckon it's going to be a lowish game. I'm going to go like 18-14 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
I think scoring averages will be quite a bit higher this season.
Yeah.
I reckon average score both teams could well be in like the 20s.
So is that you're telling everyone to get on the overs? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Get on the overs.
I don't think the first couple rounds, but I think once you sort out the teams that can exploit the rules, then you may get some really, really big big scores and free flowing footy.
Yeah, for sure, I reckon. So we move to the Friday night game. Kalen Ponga, he's obviously got that injury, and we see Tex Hoy moving that fullback spot for the Knights v the Bulldogs. Connor Watson out lock, I reckon that's a big move, and Jaden Brayley back for the Knights. Who do you? I actually see the Dogs winning this one.
No.
You don't reckon?
No.
I really rate the Brayley brothers. I actually rate Jaden much more than Blake.
Yeah.
I think Tyson Frizzell finally playing in a good team because the last couple of years the Dragons have been awful.
Yeah.
I think he's a huge in. Like Saifidi and Clemmer. Watson at 13 is extremely questionable. Don't think it will.
I love that play.
I love it. I want to know. I want to see how much size Connor's put on because I'm on the
You don't want size. Like
I want a Brandon Smith 13.
The most successful teams last year, I reckon, all had pretty mobile locks.
Yeah.
Or locks that had really good ball playing ability.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you need a more mobile lock with these.
Yeah. I'm not saying you don't need a more mobile lock. I'm saying I think it's dangerous if Connor Watson's not taking hit-ups, though, because your 13 still needs to be taking hit-ups.
Yeah.
There's not a single team where your 13's not running 100 to 130 metres a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting call. I think Tex Hoy is a great replacement for Ponga. But this could be a bit of a make it or break it season for the Knights. It could.
Yeah. I think Knights, they weren't really in a premiership window, but I think in the last few years they should have been in the top four at least once in the last 4 or 5 years with the team they had on paper, but a few injuries and stuff. Bit of form didn't allow them to fulfill that. I think this is probably the biggest year of Mitchell Pearce's career. I think he has to turn something around here. He was on the out of the leadership circle, so I think he's got something to prove here. But I also think the Dogs, under Trent Barrett, I'm very keen to see what he's done there and whether Carl Flanagan can live up to or turn around the criticism that he had from last year.
Yeah. I think the Dogs have really, for the first time in a couple of years, have like a fairly strong set of outside backs. Yeah. And Corey Allen's on the rise. To say he's an A-list fullback at the moment is definitely not the right call. but he's one of the better fullbacks in the competition, or one of the better like utility players.
Yeah.
But again, their halves, their spine is just not good enough to get close to the top 8. Jeremy Marshall-King will come back in, probably take Katoa's position at 9.
Yeah.
But I cannot see Averillo and Flanagan taking the Dogs this year anywhere close to the top 8. But I do like the pack. Their pack is
Trent Barrett was like, "Oh, fans, we need you to be patient."
Yeah.
I read that as we're still fucking useless now.
Yeah. That's actually That's
honestly,
not what you want to hear.
I think talking about locks, like Strongy thought bunnies are locked to win the premiership. I think doggies are a lock to not make the 8.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not saying bunny. I'm saying bunnies are like a lock to go very deep into finals.
Yeah.
But
I'm tipping Knights.
I think I'm tipping Knights in like a fairly dominant display. I'm not saying that it's going to be like some rout and they're going to win by 24 points, but I think they'll win comfortably, maybe by 2 to 3 tries.
Yeah, I'm going to go. This is going to be the upset game, I reckon. I'm going to go Bulldogs. Yeah, I'm not very confident about it, but I'm going to go. That's my one upset game of the week. The Friday night, your boys Chuck take on the Brisbane Broncos. I could genuinely see the Brisbane Broncos going for back-to-back spoons. Like nothing has come out good about the Broncos. There's nothing like fantastic. And when you're putting Brody, I just don't rate Brody Croft and Milford.
Oh, really?
As a pair.
I rate Brody Croft.
I would have wanted Tom Dearden in there over Brody Croft, I reckon.
I really like. I like Brisbane's pack. On paper, I'd like to see John Asiata get in a start at 13 because I think he's a very good 13. I'm a bit surprised because Pat Carrigan.
I don't think he's. You get those guys that are like specialist bench players.
Yeah,
I think Asiata's a really good bench player just by like his versatility in a big frame and how he can just him fresh off the bench. It brings extra impact.
I think because of how weak Brisbane's spine is, that having a ball playing lock like John Asiata to take some of the pass load off the others, off Croft and Milford and Asako would have been important. I just think John Asiata probably went to Brisbane with the idea of having a guaranteed shot at the 13 jersey, and he hasn't got it. And I'm surprised because I think Pat Carrigan's a gun, but I don't think.
I think he's a gun.
I don't think.
Yeah, I'd rate him very highly actually.
And TPJ would also be higher in the pecking order to start at 13 for sure.
I think TPJ will go in and slot it up back row.
Yeah, I think he'll go back row as well. But Paddy? Oh no, Milford's skipper this year, isn't he?
Yeah, Milford's skip. So it's a bit of mate. Look, everyone knows Kevy loves the MILF.
Yeah.
And for us circles, Kevy doesn't love a MILF. So, but no, the outside backs for Brisbane have just got worse. Corey Oates not making the team, surprising. Tessie New, Herbie Farnworth, David Mead, like Xavier Coates. Like, give me a break. That is a reserve grade backline.
Give me a dose. 58 mil, let's fucking go.
Well, looking at the other side, Parramatta, it's a pretty stock team apart from one change of Opachich coming in in that centre spot for old mate who's done some time.
I'm liking Parramatta's stability in their team. I think there's a couple of new faces on the bench with Ray Stone and Nick Corey being out, injured.
Suspended. Hipgrave, Papali, Kafusi and Will Smith on the bench.
It's a good bench.
I'm loving Papali from what I've seen in the trials. He's looked really good.
I don't see this game going anywhere other than Parramatta 13 plus very easily.
I think Parramatta's attack needs to be addressed. It wasn't good last year. Trial matches, we only scored 6 against Penrith.
But trials. You can't read too much into trials.
Yeah.
I think the only concern I have for Para this year is if they don't get off to a red hot start and play consistent footy. Like, they don't need to play red hot footy for all 24 rounds, but they need to be consistent in how many points they concede and how many they score.
Yeah.
Like, they need to be relatively consistent. And I'm concerned that if Para really don't show like serious signs of improvement from what happened last year, which is really hard because it's a big step. Like, well, it's a small step, but it means a lot going from where they were to where they should be. I think like some heads will roll. I think that could mean that a couple key players get given the release, or Brad Arthur could. But on paper, Para should be getting into the top 4 comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. They're a good season team, but when it comes to finals,
they've suffered a lot of burnout. Like,
yeah,
they've been top 3, top 4, and then they look shit house for like the last 5 rounds, but still make the top 4 and then go out in straight sets.
That's relying on the coaching staff. Like, that's a coaching.
Yeah, it's sort of. I think we should try and start resting players in the season. Not addressing the regular season as a finals match. I think Reid Marnie will need some breaks. He's played 80 minutes every game, so I think getting Joey Lussick in was good.
Yeah, I had some news yesterday. Mike Acevo, they're wanting him in French rugby, so I think he's gone in the next year odd. I mean, you can't compete. There's no chance. They're offering 1 million to Corabetti in England, so like French rugby. I mean, I think Mike Acevo is pretty much gone. He's not getting more than 500k at Parramatta for sure.
Yeah, but
I think it's the hardest players to retain in league are like the Fijian and Pacific Islanders.
Yeah,
because like they really like the game, but they love their sport, and there's that deep connection to a rugby league team. Or they're not deep. I don't think a lot of them are deeply affiliated, and it's like obviously a big like blanket statement. But I think for a lot of them it's very tempting, especially if you're not coming from like. If you come from a relatively poor country, developing country, I think it's kind of too hard to refuse. And there is a good chance that Sevo will be lost to rugby league, most likely.
Yeah,
I prefer him to go to Union compared to another team.
He won't. That's the thing, though. He I don't think he'd go to another team.
No.
He'd change codes.
Saturday, first game. Saturday. Warriors v Titans.
This could be a cracker.
I reckon probably close to game around in terms of score being very close. Teams look. I think I really like what the Titans are dishing out this year. The team looks very good, and if Jamal Fogarty can sort of keep that form he had last year, I think they will make a very good push for the 8.
Same with the Warriors.
Yeah.
I think both.
Much less on the Warriors.
Both have done good business in the off-season.
Yeah. Bailey Sirenen, that's a good signing for them.
Bailey Sirenen, that family shits out the best players in rugby league. There's not a single Sirenen from that family that doesn't play professional sport.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. I think Gold Coast probably win. And I think the Warriors will have a tough year just being in Australia unless there can be something arranged with the government, which I think is unfair.
Well, aren't they going to New Zealand after like the 3rd or 4th round?
No, in June, after June somewhere. They're going back into New Zealand. But they also have requested for possibly 20 games in the next season in New Zealand, which I think... Yeah, without them staying in Australia last year, we wouldn't have the competition. So I think all credit to them. They should get 20 games. And I don't think all 20 games should be played in Mount Smart Stadium, wherever they play. I think they should go all over New Zealand and go to different destinations and kind of grow rugby league as a sport there instead of, obviously, it's rugby dominated there. So that's my thoughts on that.
But I like the Warriors team on paper. I just think it's probably a hurdle.
Yeah. And
Benny Murdoch Mustela, but I think it'll be a good game. It's a bit of the Warriors have improved on their squad, but it's relatively the same to what they had or what they wanted last year.
Yeah.
So I think it could be a good game. I don't see the Warriors making the 8. But I see the Titans probably pushing for the 8. But I think next year Titans will get close to a lock for the 8.
Yeah.
But I think it just may take a while for some of these combinations to gel. What I don't like is Philip Sammy not starting on the wing though, and Corey Thompson. I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to keep Corey Thompson not there because he's on quite big money at the Titans, isn't he? He's on like 700 or 600.
Corey Thompson.
Yeah.
No,
He
no.
was
He's
sort of desperate to the
feel
Tigers
like
are sort of desperate to release him. So I
he's
could
on
not
like
see him being.
150. He's on like 150K.
Oh,
It was,
legit? I read something
well,
on like.
But just purely based off the fact that he was close to getting released by the Tigers, he was pretty desperate to go to somewhere else. I wouldn't. I'd assume
maybe.
no club would pay that much over.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Fair
in
enough.
terms of the game, I'm tipping Titans, but I would not be surprised at all if Warriors pull through.
Yeah.
Same.
For sure.
Same.
Yeah, I'm going with Titans as well. 5:30 p.m. down at the SCG. I think
I'll be
Chuck
attending
will
that game.
Yeah. Roosters versus Manly. Obviously, no Tom Trbojevic, but the most questionable decision I've seen in a while. Dylan Walker fills in that one position.
I don't think that's questionable at all.
No, I think you're misreading what we're saying. Is that it's questionable that their best fullback backup option isn't even a reserve grader pushing for the team, that it's their starting centre playing fullback, and he's never played fullback before.
Yeah. What I expected was Ruben Gack to slide in at fullback. But Dylan Walker obviously got the nod ahead of him. Looking at Roosters' team, pretty similar. Lachlan Land is probably the only question mark, and look how they play. It's the only question mark. But I think Roosters easy.
Adam Kieran's on the bench, so I suspect Adam Kieran will either play a bit of 9 or he'll play a bit of 6 and a bit of 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like God, Manly have some serious problems.
Yeah.
Like they're in a real big rut, and even if you have Tom Trbojevic, Daly Cherry Evans, and Jake Trbojevic, they just don't have any squad depth. And it's been the same for probably 3 seasons now. They just haven't been able to buy filler players and have good enough players in the reserve grade or on the bench. They just, I don't see them getting close to the 8. Not even. I think 12th will be a best position, and even with Tommy, like.
Yeah, the only thing I think when Tommy comes back, if they don't start winning like games pretty convincingly with Tommy, I don't think they're going to make a push for the 8.
Do you guys think Dylan Walker's the best option for fullback?
I think he's kind of the only option.
I would have if I was coach of Manly, I would have put Ruben Garrick
no
fullback.
Way. They tried that, and they won fuck all games trying that. They need to try something different.
My concern is that Walker's work rate is knowingly bad. Like, that has always been a thing for Dylan Walker, is that he's got a bad work rate. So I just don't think his one-on-one defense will be that good in his positioning. I think he's when they get the ball in their 20 out, he could be amazing as that second 5'8" going on both sides of the field. Yeah. And he also gives another kicking option. But like it just shows that Manly don't have the depth to deal with any injuries. And I think like having a good 17, which they do, they still have a good 17 when Trbojevic is fit, but you don't keep the same 17 for the entire season. So Jason Saab's a good buy. Rate that. Sully and Parker have improved. Kieran Foran, I'm going to tip as the worst buy in rugby league.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that.
To be honest, you've got like a relatively young team, which they do. Put someone at 6, put Joe Schuster at 6, and let Kieran Foran mentor him. But don't buy Kieran Foran and stunt another player's development for an entire season because you think you can make a one-off push for the 8.
Yeah,
because they're not. I don't think Des is looking for longevity in his team.
Yeah,
I think
100% agree.
We need to be winning out, and I don't think that's the right approach for Manly.
Yeah, well, I feel like Manly should have treated this season as a rebuilding season, like the Broncos should be doing right now as well. They're nowhere near for a premiership, and they've got a bit of young talent coming through, and they should have. Yeah, Joey Schuster. I don't know why he's not there at 6 instead of Kieran Foran. I completely agree with you.
I do like Kieran Foran, and I'm not saying he's going to be shit.
Yeah,
I'm saying that I just think overall in the seasons to come, it may come back to haunt them because Kieran Foran is going to play 1, max 2 years. Yeah. And if Joe Schuster misses out on those 1 to 2 years, it could change him from being like a great 5/8 for the next 10 years to being like a decent one that maybe hops between clubs or is inconsistent.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
And Daly Cherry Evans not getting any younger, so like
yeah, but he's quality though.
Like, yeah, he's quality. But he's 32.
Yeah.
If you waste 2 seasons with him and Kieran Foran, then what happens? You have to go and purchase another marquee halfback.
So what you're saying, get rid of DCE because he's 32?
No. I'm saying I'm just concerned that if Kieran Foran and DCE is the halves pairings for the next 2 years, which I think it could be, I think you have a really bad predicament where you go from having a decent, like a pretty good quality starting spine, if you include Manisi Fanu, to a very ordinary one in 2 years, say both retire at 34.
Yeah, because, definitely Cherry Evans, he's not got more than 3 or 4 years on him, and Kieran Foran, he's probably gone in the next 2 years. So
Kieran Foran's 30, but his body's just not right.
Yeah.
Can't do much. You can't do anything about it when you get to that age. Like if your body's not right, it's not right.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm tipping Chooks by 18.
I'm going Chooks 13 plus.
Yeah, Chooks 13 plus for sure. Another 13 plus game, I reckon. 7:30. Panthers take on the Cowboys. Panthers, they team very similar to last year, but 2 wins, Charlie Staines and Paul Momorowski. Charlie Staines, I reckon he's on for a massive year, Charlie Staines. The 2 games he played last year, fantastic. So can't wait to see what he does. I think eventually he'll slot into that fullback role for Penrith.
I reckon Penrith's squad prop depth has decreased a lot from last year.
Yeah,
I think that could be a factor, especially if the forward pack get more tired with the new rules. I do think you need that prop depth on your bench.
I mean, I think the good thing about their team is that it's just so young.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they've got to say Matt Eisenhuth is a replacement for James Tarmow is an insult to James. But Liam Martin, I think, is a gun and eventually will play in the starting team. And then they've got this new guy, Leniu, and then they've got Tyron May on their bench. So, I think there's a bit of worry when Fisher Harris and Mosley to come off this year.
But the Raps and Spencer Leniu are massive, but he's pretty gun.
Yeah, but he's still young. He's still got to develop. But I think, I think Panthers will be contenders again. And but a lot of people are tipping North Queensland to be in their 8.
Really? I don't. Looking at that team, I cannot.
I reckon they're a lock not to make the 8. But
I reckon.
I don't think they're good.
Yeah. Well, looking at that team, they've got the Hammer. He's playing center. Scott Drinkwater at 1. Val Holmes stuck on the wing. Michael Morgan, Jake Clifford. What do you think of that halves pairing?
I really rate Jake Clifford.
Yeah.
Straight up. I think he's plateaued since his first season or 2, but I think, he's moving to the Knights anyway. So it's a bit of an interesting call. You don't want to blackball someone just because they're leaving, because obviously Todd Payton wasn't there when he decided to leave.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The team on paper is surprisingly better than what you think it would be. It's just where the players perform. I don't think that, but I just think it'll be an interesting season.
I think Penrith easy win this game. I don't think Cowboys will do anything special.
Yeah.
I've heard that they're changing Taumalolo's role a little bit.
Yeah, he's reducing minutes, isn't he?
Less minutes and trying to ball play him a bit more.
Yeah.
I think that's what most locks should be doing. trying to get that mobility, that ball playing aspect in there. But I don't know. I don't think Penrith will be as good as they were last year either.
I agree. I have them out. Oh, I think I had them out 5th or 4th in my ladder prediction. I don't think they're going to live up to where they were last year too much. And there's too much hype around them this year.
I think it's like the same issue as what like the Chooks had last year. Like they had Warrior Hargraves and Takiaho on, and when both or either of them were off, you saw a big difference in their impact. Like I know Lindsay Collins is good, but like when they were both off, nowhere near as good. So they've changed and started with Lindsay Collins and Warrior Hargraves off the bench to like negate that issue. But I think Penrith will have that issue this year when one of either Fisher Harris or Leota are off.
Yeah.
The impact's
so everyone's still tipping about Penrith 13 plus for that game.
Yeah. I think North Queensland could gel though in a couple of weeks, and if they can get the combinations right and everyone strings along, they could definitely string some big wins together. Because the team's a bit different from like 2017. But there's still the key players there that took them there. And Scott Drinkwater's a gun. Val Holmes is a gun. Carl Felt is a proven 20 try scorer a season player.
At least about 50 tries though. All good.
There's points in the team. There's points in the team, and the forward pack isn't as bad as probably like we're saying it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
I agree.
Fair.
Sunday's game, Green Machine take on your boy Stringy.
What a cracker.
Dane Laurie in that fullback position. There was a bit of a debate. Moses Sembai slots back into 6. What do you reckon about that? Would you have had it that way or something else?
Yeah, well, Dewey's out. So I thought there was a chance that Jock Madden would play 6 and Embar would play 1. But I think Dane Laurie's 3 tries, the way he played in trial, Manly were really bad though. But look, overall, I look at the Tigers team and I've definitely been over-optimistic.
Improvement.
Huge improvement. I think there's huge improvement in the team.
You're actually a chance of finals now, Strongy. Look out. Potential.
If they play consistently, I think like finals should be a lock eventually.
I wouldn't say lock.
I don't know about that. I reckon there's around 5 teams pushing for that 7th or 8th spot.
I think there's 5.
And you're a part of those 5 teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'd say they're a part of the 5 teams, but I think
they're a lock, in my opinion.
Top echelon of the 5 teams. Look, I mean, Joe Fingawi, James Tama, Luciano Leilua, Alex Twal, Luke Garner, with Shane Bloor to come in, then on the bench, Russell Packer, Stefano Utakamigo, and Michaeli.
He's a gun. Shane also a gun. Had a couple of games of power.
So I think the Tigers' squad depth is increased dramatically. I think Little is a good player. He's been injury prone, but I think Jai Simpkin will get the go eventually. And in reality, I think it will be where the Brooks and Dewey click.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if Brooks and Dewey click with that outside backs, like you've got hot and cold players, but if they remain hot, James Roberts and Joe Leilua at their best would probably be one of the better centre pairing comps in centre pairings in the comp.
I agree.
I've heard James Roberts.
I've got big raps on Luciano this year. I reckon he's going to have a massive year.
The brothers on that edge.
Yeah.
I've also heard it's a bit generic, like, who cares? He's just said it. But James Roberts said this preseason he's actually like loved the game again and he's pushed really hard. I mean, that's just his word. We don't know about that, but that's a good sign because at his best, he's an Origin caliber.
Yeah, he's so good.
I think David Nofluma is probably in for another big year. I just think the Tigers' depth is big, but in terms of this game, like
I'm tipping the Raiders, Strongy.
Yeah,
it's very hard to go past the Raiders.
I think the game will be an 4 to 8 point game either way, and I think the Raiders' experience will probably take it early because the Tigers' spine probably won't gel straight away. But
I think Raiders' full strength this year compared to last year is slightly worse. And now they've got CHN and Corey Horsburgh out. Ryan James is a good good purchase. But I don't even know if he's in their strongest 17.
What happened to What happened to
strength.
Chance? Oh no, CHN. Oh right, so yeah, not CNK. Yeah, CHN. Harrow.
Yeah. I don't know. A bit of culture conflict there. I don't think Ricky's too happy if the culture's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think Raiders. I think they're a little overhyped.
Yeah.
From what they are.
I reckon the Raiders have a really high ceiling. As in, if they find form at the right part of the year, it could take them all the way to a prelim or a grand final. But if they don't work, if they don't play consistent footy, I can see them dropping as low as like 10th this year. I just think there's too many, like there's a lot of changes. The outside backs are not as strong as they were a couple of years ago. And if CHN and Horsburgh don't have the right culture going, we already know Corey Horsburgh's got some problems on the field with keeping his head cool. I think
that's just like he's really passionate though.
Yeah, he's passionate, but I think there's if the Raiders aren't winning, the culture doesn't sound amazing as it used to be. Like the team, it could self-implode a bit, but still on paper, one of the strongest teams in the comp. I think it would be.
I think they're a very momentum-based team. Like you don't back them to play a very consistent style of like win 4 games, lose 1, kind of like how Melbourne and Roosters sort of play throughout the season. They will like string like 15 or like 10 to 15 games together, but also go on a massive losing streak. Yeah. That's kind of the game they play.
But I actually think this game could be a cracker.
I'm tipping Raiders by 10. But
10. Do you think it'll be a close game though?
10 and like a 10-point game is if it's high scoring, it's close. I don't know. Like I just think I get a better glimpse of what Tigers actually are when they've played a couple of games. They definitely seem to be better than what they have last 5 years. And I think Raiders, they're on paper just a little bit better, but I think Tigers are in for a better year than what they've had.
Yeah.
Just for this game, tipping Raiders.
The problem is that the Tigers, if they take a bit to gel, they could be 0-4 to start because they got the Raiders, Chooks, Knights, and Parra in the first 4.
Yeah, that's not
ideal. If they kickstart it with a win against Canberra,
that's massive.
I reckon if they go 2-4 out of those games, that's a win for them.
Yeah, I think if they win 2 of them, say against Canberra, Knights, or the Eels, because Chooks will be the hardest, or Harry will be hard as well. But I think if they can take 2 wins out of those 4 games, they'll probably get the feeling that they're in contention for finals. Yeah. They just probably need that belief that they can do it week in, week out.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, but I'm tipping Raiders for this week. In a close one. I
hate it though. I fucking hate Canberra. Hate it. Like I'll back the boys strongy, 100%. If any team to get the wooden spoon, it's fucking Canberra. Those fucking faggots can drink milk. I hate them.
That's audacious.
We got last game.
Last game. My wooden spooners. And then Vesta Sharks. I don't think Dragons. Yeah, I just nothing. There's nothing I like about the Dragons this year. The only thing I sort of like is Jack Bird, but he's not even playing 6. He's on the centre. I wanted Jack Bird to play 6.
I thought he was playing lock to start off with.
Yeah, there was talk he was going to play lock, but he's playing lock. Clune, I think, is a good game manager. I actually do like him. He gives me a bit of Darcy Fogarty vibes.
Darcy?
Jamal. There's a Darcy. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, don't worry. Clune gives me good vibes because I think Corey Norman may struggle to get back into the starting 13 because Clune just takes a lot of the pressure off Hunt.
I mean, Corey Norman will walk in if they lose.
Yeah, but I don't like the direction the Dragons are going. Getting rid of Cam McInnes is just
and Frizzell.
An insult to Cam McInnes. bringing in Andrew McCulloch is not what they need.
Low-key a genius played, coincidentally, because Cam McInnes got injured and they brought in McCulloch, but we couldn't have predicted that.
Well, pure fluke. But any team that's got Blake Laurie starting at prop.
In saying this, though, there's so much pressure on the Sharks and John Morris, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I think it's a bit harsh on John Morris because their team's not amazing.
Not great, yeah.
And he's actually finals a couple of times.
To get them to finals last year, I reckon that's a very massive effort. It's looking at this roster, and it's a bit unfair the amount of pressure that John Morris is on to retain that head coach job. I think he's done a pretty good job looking at it from the outside.
Yeah. But it's the only dud game of the first round, I reckon.
I think it could turn into a good game. Not that it would.
When two useless teams play, you can get that high scoring.
Yeah.
One.
I think you still look at Cronulla, their forward pack, Aaron Woods, Hamlin Uele, Graham, Nikora, Toby Rudolph, and then on the bench they've got Aiden Tolman, Jack Williams, and Billy Magnolius, with Fafita not even in the starting 13. It's a pretty good pack.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good pack. In the form Aaron Woods was in last year, he took himself, he had a couple really poor seasons and he got himself back up and playing good footy. 12 and 11, really important to them. But I think there's probably a bit too much pressure on Chad Townsend to do everything at the moment. I think Chad's a criminally underrated 7 in the comp, but Matt Moylan is injury prone and he loves a nose beer from all reports.
Yeah, I don't think Matt Moylan. Yeah, he hasn't got the ethic, work ethic to be.
What's wrong with a nose beer, Strongy?
From all reports, he loves a nose beer, and that's why he's. But I think their backline is actually good if they're playing well. Like, we all know the quality that Josh Dugan and Jesse Raymond can produce, but it's whether they can actually do that. I think Mulatau and Sione Katoa, probably two of the best finishers in the game. And if they get the ball now, Will Kennedy's basically had a whole season at fullback.
Yeah.
So, the pressure is on the Sharks, because to say that they're a bad team on paper is just, you'd be lying to yourself. It's just because
they're not
a bad team, but they're not a fantastic team either.
They're definitely mid-range team.
Yeah, I'd put them in that bracket of the 5 teams pushing for the 7 and 8.
Yeah, I would have them in that bracket. I hope they go well. I like Cronulla. I think Cronulla's a good team. I just like Cronulla, the club, generally.
Yeah, I don't. That 2016 grand final, that can die.
No, yeah. I think pressure is on John Morris, and if he doesn't perform, then g'day Shane Flanagan. That's what we're going to see.
Yeah. We'll see him in a few weeks, won't we?
I hope so. Ask him about the saga.
Nah. Yeah, Sharks. I'm going to go Sharks 8-8 in this one.
Sharks by 8? Yeah, I think Sharks by 14.
I think, Sharks by a little demolishing. I reckon Dragons are fucking shit house.
Yeah. Okay.
Book him in for a Broncos 2020 season.
That's fair. All right. That wraps up round 1 preview. Let's go back in time and do a bit of cricket. That England-India series. Low-key an England fan for that series. We needed that for an Aussie Test Championship, but wasn't to be. England played pretty poorly. Your thoughts on that series overall?
The pitch, don't get me home track bully went to another level with those fucking pitches. Yeah, what is going on? Honestly,
I don't think the pitches were good. I think the batting was atrocious though as well.
Yeah,
when Axar Patel or whatever the fuck his name is, I don't know, averages 4 wickets an innings, bowling left arm pies. I don't know. I don't know about that.
But the problem was that the ball was turning too much on the balls that weren't taking wickets. And then England's batsmen just didn't apply themselves enough. And in saying that, there were so many times where India's lower order got them out of a serious rut.
Like Washington Sundar and Rishabh Pant, I think where have Rishabh Pant, beginning of Australian series, wasn't even in the side, and he's come in.
He's probably the best batsman keeper in world cricket.
Yeah. Quinton close by as well.
Yeah, I just England's in shambles. I think they're wasting two of their great batsmen, great batsmen and brilliant all-rounder, probably one of the best all-rounders England's had. And then they're still ruining a perfectly fine Jimmy Anderson.
Yeah.
But there's the key players in that side are very good. The problem is that everyone else is being essentially carried, and they're just not doing enough. But
yeah. Well, I think they're in the predicament that Australia was in where, like before, their problems weren't as exposed because Ben Stokes and Joe Root or James Anderson were getting them out of trouble time and time again, like Steve Smith and Marnus were. And then once those people don't start scoring runs, it kind of exposes that, oh, wait, our team's actually not very good in terms of depth. And but I'm not sure what you can do to fix that because that's basically selection. And it's not really.
I think you start not rotating the players during a series where you can make it to the first Test championship. And they're saying they're going to do it for the Ashes as well. I'm sorry, but it is. Australia did it for a bit, and it ended up with us playing inconsistent, poor cricket, and people deciding to cheat. Don't rotate the best players.
Yeah.
If someone's injured, they're injured. You're professional athletes. You know how your own body works. You don't need a sports scientist to tell you how you feel. Play your best team. Don't send Josh Butler home after the first Test.
Yeah.
Don't rotate Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad. Don't rotate Ben Stokes.
I think Joe Root had a better series than
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a back to form series for him because he's been wank for a while and scored a couple tons in that one. Yeah, and Sri Lanka as well. He was good.
He's a great player of spin, but the England scores are just ridiculous. They only scored one score over 210.
Yeah, it's just
in a 4 Test match series where they batted 8 times, and that was the first innings of the first Test. They scored 578. So I think the pitches were bad, and I think it's trash and it's crap that India can get away with producing wickets so in their favour because they know that if they win, they make the Test championship.
Yeah.
But at the same time, England did not apply themselves at the crease. You watch some of the dismissals, and it's just disgraceful. It's part cricket.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I agree that the pitches aren't fantastic. And looking at the bowlers for India, Patel, where's he come from? He's bowling pies and taking wickets. Why can't someone in England do that? Their bowling performance was just not up to it compared to India.
I think England didn't have either functions going for them. They didn't have bowling or batting working, and you still don't even win Test matches when only one is working. You can't have a batting side just carrying the bowlers through and scoring massive scores, and you can't have bowlers bowling teams out for 200.
Yeah.
And then the batsman not being able to get 300, 350. I thought Axel Patel was a really good bowler and bowled well to the conditions. And you watch all the wickets. I watched some of it.
It was all wickets getting out to the straight one.
The straight one.
Exactly.
And that's application. You're not going to get out to the one that turns corners. You're going to get out to the one that stays straight because you're not playing the line of the ball.
Yeah.
And obviously they tried different approaches, like getting down the crease, using their feet more, getting back to the some of the spinners the left-handers did. But if you're not willing to apply yourselves for hours on end and focus on every ball, of course you're going to get bowled out for 140, 150 in India. You have to concentrate on what the ball's doing and not premeditate, which is how a lot of them got out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Any thoughts?
I'm just off it. I don't know. Just
Go on a rant.
It's actually a joke how in your favour you can make a pitch at home.
Yeah. And the problem is that when they come here,
just demolish the Indians in England when the ball's going to seam and swing. I reckon it'll be a good game at a neutral venue.
Yeah. I think
I'd like to see like a few more series played in neutral venues. I reckon that would be quite interesting to see. But then again, like crowds and stuff. But
it does. I think playing in a neutral venue, definitely does increase like the content of bat and ball.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's realistic that it would happen just because of the money involved in playing a home series.
Yeah, 100%.
And pretty much, India can do whatever they want. They basically run world cricket, so no one's going to pick them up on what they're doing. So,
but yeah, credit to India, they beat Australia in a home series in Australia. Like they deserve to be in the final. We don't.
Yeah,
anyone that thinks that we actually deserve to be in that final is ludicrous because we lost to India's second string team in 2 tests.
Yeah,
and we chose not to tour South Africa, while England, who everyone else is in a pandemic, is fine with touring India. So, like, what can you do?
You can't do much. One question that came out from this series is, do you think Rahane should be captain over Kohli?
I did like that coming out of the Aussie series. I thought Rahane was much more level-headed.
Yeah.
Kohli is very emotionally invested into the match, but I just think like the marketing, just Kohli as captain, he's their best player. It'd be a bit of a weird image seeing him not captain while playing.
Yeah, I just like Rahane as vice. I think it's probably the best way to go about it. You don't really want to strip your captain of captaincy if they're not playing bad and if they're not doing anything wrong. It's a bit weird. It would probably ruin the culture of the team a bit. And you don't really want someone that's that good and probably like one of India's best batsmen ever feeling disenfranchised from the team because he's stripped of captaincy. Especially by someone.
Kohli's ego's not liking that one.
Kohli's ego hate it, and we all know he's egotistical. You have to be like an elite, the elite of the elite. I think Rahane did really well captaining Australia, and is a great leader. And if Kohli wasn't playing, he would be captain. But I think if Rahane was going to be captain, they would have never made Kohli captain.
For sure. All right, last seggy. Here we go. We're on the home straight. Going back to top four unfulfilled talents in world sport. We'll send it to Charlie first. How about
that? I'm going a bit back in time. Well, this one's not unfulfilled, but it's more really unlucky. So I've gone cricketer Stuart McGill, leg spinner. I guess you could say he was fulfilled talent-wise, but he was very unlucky in how little international matches he played, being behind Shane Warne.
Born at the wrong time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think it might not go in some definition of unfulfilled talent, but in my books, being that unlucky is basically the same.
Yeah.
Like he played games when they went for dual spinners, but if he was born anywhere else or in any other time, he has a very successful international career, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. You going through the whole Chuck?
Yeah, go on, Chuck.
Second, it's kind of like I've got like 2 players in the same bracket, Luke Brooks and Mitchell Moses. I think that's my next one. They're like both of them. I think they're paid big bucks at their club, meant to be like the leaders of their team, and they both have. I think Mitchell Moses has done a little bit better so far than what Luke Brooks has done, but again, Mitch Moses hasn't delivered in big games or been as consistent as he should. And I think Luke Brooks, it's his time to deliver Tigers a final series. I think he's under-delivered. I think he's got a Dally M Halfback of the Year, 2016 or 17 or something
2018.
Like that. 2018, there you go. But I still think from him being at the big 4 of the Tigers back in the day, he hasn't really been that standout player for him. So that's my second one, both those. And the third one, Jared Hayne. Yeah, he won, 2 Dally M's. Had 2 very, very good seasons, but I think he left at a time where he's still in his peak. He won the 2014 Dally M of the year, and then left 2015 to play in our NFL. And I think if he kept playing in the NRL, his perception of him being like in that top class fullbacks, I guess he still probably is. But I think he really would be in that elite status of.
The only thing that probably stops him from being up there is just if he had won a premiership or not. If he took home a premiership, I reckon he would be close up there, because that 8 to 10 weeks in 2009, I don't think I've seen one player do better than Jared Hayne ever. Yeah. That was just crazy.
Yeah, but ever since he went to the NFL, he's got caught up. He had a really good stint up there, I guess, but then sort of flunked it, and then had all these off-field dramas that sort of fucked his career up. And he still would have had a fair few years playing NRL, and then he went back and it was a bit useless.
Yeah.
Number 3. And my last one.
Oh, number 4. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, who was my last one? I'll get her up.
I think he's a bit of a tennis player, isn't he?
Oh yeah, Nick Kyrgios, of course.
Yeah.
You just look at him and just think raw natural talent.
Yeah.
And I think his work ethic, I don't know, I think he's starting to mature a little bit and understand that he's got to work a little bit harder. But I think it's more the sense that he doesn't try on the court as much. He gets really emotionally invested. I guess that's why a lot of people perceive him as unfulfilled talent. They go, he's got the ability to win Grand Slams. He's one of the most naturally talented players on the tour, but I still think he's made a couple of quarterfinals.
Yeah, he hasn't really.
He's Australia's number 2 ranked player.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's still young enough to
turn it around.
But so far, I'd say he's unfulfilled. All
right, I might go, and then Strongy, I know you got a tip you want to share for your last, so I'll leave you to last with your top 4. My top 4, Ravel Morrison, played for Manchester United, and Sir Alex Ferguson said he's the best talent to come out of Manchester United, and just threw away his career, didn't train well, didn't do anything well, and had to go to West Ham, and even got kicked out of West Ham.
Up the fucking Hammers. Up United.
Yeah, Ravel Morrison, that's my number 1. Nick Kyrgios, I've also gone Nick Kyrgios. Got the talent, but hasn't proven himself. He's only made a few quarters, hasn't made it to the semis yet, I don't think, in any Grand Slam. So that's my number 2. Back to the NRL with my number 3, Ben Barber. I think talking about raw talent, he's up there, and sort of his off-field issues, don't want to go into that per se, but sort of let him down with his career and where he could have gone. And number 4, I've gone Adam Scott. I think with the ability he has had, his swing and his golf swing and his the chances he had, I reckon he should have put at least 4 majors on the board for his time.
I wouldn't say Adam Scott's unfulfilled.
He had a few majors that he could have won, and he's just let go. So I'm going to go. That's my top 4.
Okay.
Strongy, finish us off.
I've changed my top 4 to a top 3 because one of them I'm thinking is a bit stiff, and I love him.
Who is that person you thought was a bit stiff?
Ryan. I reckon low key, Bowie was never a freak winger, and by no means started the game fair. Loved his footy, but got a crack later than most people would. But I would have loved to see him.
I think he's perceived as a better player than he was. Yeah, because of his journalism days. Now he's so successful. Such a good media personality.
When he got the neck injury and stuff, he was still starting. He was playing good footy, so it was a bit stiff. But I'm going to crack it off with Elijah Taylor. He was a second-round draft pick or first-round draft pick by the Swans out of WA. Comes across, looks the goods, has a couple of really good moments, and he looks like he could be a good forward flank or a pocket. and emulate some other Indigenous players. And instead, he breaks the COVID protocols while we're in the pandemic and everyone else is stuck at home, and then decides to assault his girlfriend on another occasion. Like, you kind of picking up the definition of wasted or unfulfilled talent when you have an off-field indiscretion at 19. It's a bit of it's a shame and it's a joke that someone at 19 would do some of the things he's done. My second is Jordan Rankin, youngest debutant in a long time, and has just never really cracked NRL first grade for consistent seasons, or been the player he was touted to be. And he's openly said that he wishes he didn't get the crack at 16.
Yeah.
And but he's club hopped. He's a club hopper, and hopefully he gets a couple of games for Para.
I don't even see him getting too much game time for Para, to be honest.
Yeah, probably not unless there's an injury. But my last pick is a huge call. Top 4 unfulfilled talents. Joseph Swiley will be an unfulfilled talent.
Oh, addiction. Fucking massive raps on him.
Like, the raps on this kid.
Is it SBW, GI, Israel Folau?
Yeah, he's a mix between 4 elite athletes that have played the game for 10 years. Like, shut up.
Well, you boys have seen him. You boys have seen him play in person. What are your, like, the raps aren't as big in person, are they?
He's obviously a gun. Like, he's obviously a really good under 18s player.
Yeah.
But whether you can say that you playing against other 18-year-olds to playing in the NRL and you're destined to go into a Sydney Roosters team and earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a year is just an insane call. He will not live up to the hype. And it's like most players. Most players who get these raps don't live up to the hype. It is a very select few that do, and the ones that do go on to be like greats of the game. But I just think, like,
in fairness, you've seen play one game in the trial, which is reserve grade, and he held his own very well, scored 2 tries. Well, he held his own, played very well, but
he's put on the end of 2 tries, and he played like 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, look, I just don't think he'll live up to it. I think the hype's unfair. And he's a good player, but I think when you look at the likes of the other players that have been compared to, like a Kurtley Beale or a Kalen Ponga, similar players that are outside backs or full backs at school level, they were so clearly dominant. Like, they looked like once-in-a-generation talent. And those 2 specific will be and have been. So, I just don't think he'll live up to the hype at all.
That's a fair call.
I'm surprised they even want him to play when you have both Morris brothers there. Like, he's not going to play anyway, in my opinion, over Joey Manu or Morris. I don't see it happening.
Even like a Billy Smith when he's back.
Yeah, even a Billy Smith he's had an injury, but this will be his second pre-season under his belt, and the raps on Billy Smith are huge. So I think it's a bit odd that they even want him to be playing so urgently or to be approved. I think at best he'd maybe get a couple games before an injury, but he'd still be playing for the Bears. So that's my big call.
Fair enough. That's very good. Do you want to give us your other tip, or?
Oh, you want the big tip, or are we doing NRL expansion first?
We'll go NRL expansion. Yeah. All right.
All right. Let's do that.
Talk about the new team in probably Queensland's going to be. There's some talk about mergers between 2 teams up there, but looks likely to be Redcliffe Dolphins probably will get that spot. And if you were a coach of Redcliffe, the new team, which 2 marquee players would you sign?
Jack, you want to go?
I kind of like breaking the rules a little bit. I'd bring Craig Bellamy in as coach. I'd try to get Craig Bellamy in as coach. I think so many people want to play under him.
Yeah.
He brings the best out of players. He's really disciplined with them. And then my second player would be like a experienced player in the spine, someone like a Tedesco or a Damien Cook, Cam Smith, someone like that.
I mean, you got to pick one. Pick one. Don't be fence sitting here.
I'll go with Teddy. Teddy at fullback. He is, I don't know, very good. That's where I'd want the expansion to go. Are we getting to that now?
Yeah. Where would you want it? Yeah.
P&G.
I agree. I 100% agree.
They just froth the game.
Yeah.
Like, do we really need another Queensland team? Like, there's already 3 of them. Yeah. Either that or somewhere like
outside
a unique team in Australia, like a WA or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Get the game more diverse in Australia. I don't know.
Sure.
But PNG would be mad. You see like a trial game, some Australian under 21 team goes to fucking PNG and they pack out like a 20K
packs
stadium.
It out. Yeah, they just love the game up there.
Yeah.
Strongy.
Look, I actually, because I think in reality, it'll be a Queensland team no matter what the next team that comes.
Yeah.
I really like Redcliffe getting the go, whether it's as the Redcliffe Dolphins or as the Brisbane Dolphins, and that team plays games at Redcliffe and at Suncorp. I wouldn't be fussed. I think you've got to bring in a bigger market than just Redcliffe. But I'd give them the feeder team. And I agree with Chuck. You need to sign an experienced coach that people want to play for, one that's won premierships. And in terms of 2 players, I would have Harry Grant as 100% lock. But if you're starting a team, you got to open the checkbook to at least 2 players.
Yeah.
And I would be signing Harry Grant. And I think in reality, it wouldn't happen. Well, for the second player, I think Harry Grant could completely get ball as well for any team. I would sign Kalen Ponga at fullback on a long-term deal, get him out of the Knights, get him to put somewhere he'd love to be, because he knows that kind of like niche bloke.
Yeah.
Out there, he'd love the Redcliffe circuit, love the Brisbane circuit.
Yeah.
Or Nathan Cleary, but I don't think that's realistic. I don't think I think Nathan Cleary will be a Panther for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a bit sick. But I think the next team, I would rather a team be expanded to either Melbourne again or New Zealand or WA.
Yeah.
I think the game
New Zealand's a good shout as well.
Yeah,
the game needs outside of Queensland and New South Wales. It's just not doing it at the moment.
I just don't think there's enough Australian talent in NRL to expand again in Australia. Like, there's enough international talent out there, especially in the Pacific Islander countries, to make a team there. But, like, you already see, like, the Dragons, for example, like, they're barely even a first-grade side, and that's with the 16 teams we already have. I mean, expanding again to Australia, the talent is just, I don't think it's big enough. The pool size of talent isn't big enough to expand in Australia.
Yeah. Instead of expanding, I would have liked a 2-tier competition, like a relegation sort of thing, and have 12 and 10, 12 in the first top league, and then like a relegation in the second league of like 10 teams, where you could introduce more teams, like more New South Wales Cup teams or Queensland Cup teams, who are like, I would like that personally, because you're sort of playing a bit for nothing when you're down at the bottom. And so it kind of makes it a little bit more exciting, but I don't think that will happen.
I couldn't disagree more, I reckon, with a relegation system, because like you see, especially with a salary cap system, you see so much volatility and like positioning of ladders each year. Like with the EPL that do it, you see the same 4 teams are up there every year, and the shit teams always come last. Like you see, like Broncos, no one expected them to come last year. They were almost tipped to make top 4 or top 8, and now they got the spoon last year. They'd be relegated, and you might like not see them again. And they're like a really dominant team in the NRL. I don't know, like. And again with like the talent, like adding all those extra teams, the talent's I don't think big enough yet.
Yeah,
I
agree. I don't think it's viable for Australian competitions, even football.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's so many big winter sports in Australia. Like, there's no one dominant sport dominant code in the winter.
True.
Yeah.
I agree. for my for my expansion, I would have gone Cameron Munster as my number one person I'm bringing back into Queensland, especially if it's a Redcliffe team. I think a Queensland boy for a Queensland team, that will be number one. And then number two, I would have said Harry Grant, but they're both from Melbourne, so highly unrealistic if that ever happened. But so then I'd go with Damien Cook if I was coach. That's probably my two.
I think that would go either way. Like, if you're going to sign marquees, it's either going to be like mature age players on shorter term but bigger money deals, or younger developing players on longer term, just slightly less money deals.
Someone who would attract other players.
Yeah. But either way, the new team is going to have to get, like, they'll probably have an increased salary cap in reality to start.
Yeah.
Just because you got to get it running. You don't want to have another Gold Coast Titans.
No, exactly. Well, they're doing it right now.
They're doing it now, but it's been a long way. And if you're gonna,
but that's expected with it. Like, you look at the GWS Giants in the AFL, it took them a fucking while to. Well, the problem is any expansion side, that's sort of expected.
Yeah, but you want it to be financially viable, especially after COVID. Like, the team needs to get all the resources it can, and it needs to succeed straight away, I reckon.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a team in the next 2 years, I think you don't want to be having one there's empty stadiums and there's no memberships.
Yeah, for sure.
Gun doom.
All right. I think, Strongy, you're going to wrap us up with your hot tip for everyone.
Hot long-term tip, and it is a freaking audacious one. I think
I'm waiting for this one.
I'm confident that Luke Brooks will deliver the Tigers a premiership in the next 4 years. I think best young talent in the comp, and I think Luke will finally come his own, and I think he'll begin to rival Nathan Cleary later.
Oh, that is.
Mate.
I don't doubt that Luke Brooks can get better and be one of the better halves in the comp, but the team around him still needs to be up there. Like, when you compare South Sydney's and Melbourne's roster to Tigers' roster, there's just every position is better at those clubs.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that.
That's not even a joke.
Tigers have
1 to 17, you get outplayed. But to be fair,
Tigers are in the catchment and they get the best talent. Yeah. If they can deliver success and sustainable success,
they're fucking massive ifs. If they're fucking good, if they're sustainable, mate.
No, I'm okay. The call is, I think Luke Brooks will take the Tigers to a premiership. That is my call, and I reckon it will happen in the next 4 years, 4 to 5 years. I think the spine's young. The squad depth is very young and very good. Just wait for it. And when Harry Grant comes calling back home, he'll come in a heartbeat once we win that premiership.
Calling back home off a loan deal, yeah.
Oh dear. I've heard it all.
I think Harry Grant's going to have a good time in Melbourne.
I don't think he'll be at Melbourne this whole time.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't. It's gone. Harry Grant's coming home. It's happening. That's my audacious call, boys. Let's wait 4 years. Top premiership, Luke Brooks lifting that cup. I will be there. I will show him the video when we're celebrating that night. You wait.
All right. Okay. Sweet as. I think we'll end that there. Enough clowning from you two. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed.
I've talked sense. Strongy, fucking big clown. Yeah, so it's one clown and one like dribbling sense. Strongy.
Yeah.
Strongy, Bubba.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up.
You're doing all right till then, Strongy, by the way. You perform pretty good. And then he just does that one. I'm like, Strongy, everything you said previous, like, do I actually need to listen to it now? What is that? Oh, screw you. What is that?
Hey, it's a bit of entertainment. If you're listening on YouTube and Spotify, please subscribe. Follow the Instagram and TikTok, like I said in the intro. And thanks, boys, for coming on. Good yarn.
Cheers for having us.
All right, and we'll see you later.